Success in life isn't what you know, it's how much you're prepared to rip in and have a go. I mean, knowing things is obviously important. Yeah. Like, you can't judge the size of someone's motor. And in life, that's everything.
The guy I went to school with had a tattoo on his arm. I remember it clear as day now, which is good, better, best, never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. And I think you just have to keep trying to get better.
When you lose that confidence, it's about finding what makes you tick again. It's about putting things into perspective and going back to the process.
If your business isn't going forward, it's going backwards because everyone around you is going forward. So if you're not, you're going backwards.
Yep. Talent's important, but discipline is more important, because your fallback position in life, if you got the ability, has to always be discipline. Yeah. Or else you end up just not quite getting to your potential, right?
Yeah. I've had heaps of good advice, Sam, but at the end of the day, dream big, possibilities are endless. And just believe in yourself.
Do or do not, there is no try, which means if you're going to do something in life, just do it, back yourself. Otherwise, don't do it at all. There's no trying if you're not 100% in.
All right, well, welcome to another edition of the what are they called again?
Two
goats.
Two goats and a property
Okay,
guy.
I'll start again. That's right.
Two goats and a property guy. One goat and a property guys.
Welcome to another edition of Three Goats. Goat. No.
Big goat, no. Absolutely.
No
OG.
goat here.
Absolutely.
But definitely two goats today. Got the absolute honour and real privilege of interviewing Amy Bennett today.
Exciting.
Amy, welcome to the podcast, sweetheart.
Exciting. Nice to be on the other side.
Oh, yeah, because you're normally delivering.
Yeah, it's good.
You're normally the one firing away the questions. Today you're in the hot seat.
Just let my brain go. Watch out.
We've given you a heap of questions, but like anything, we just go off track with it. Because I think it's really important for it just to be real, raw, organic. And that's what you are, right? Like, one of the things I love most about you, and I know Nath is the same, and I know Sammy as well. Just you are so authentic and genuine, and that's what makes you elite, right? Because you're not afraid to be yourself.
It took a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the most courageous things, but I also think the ability to get to that as quick as you can is a superpower, right? Like the ability to be able to just be yourself on and offline.
Yeah.
So who I am, at an open home, versus, I always say in a mosh pit.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same person.
Oh, I
Few
think
little
you're probably more refined at an open home than a mosh pit.
Definitely. But the ability to not have to hide either side. And I think that's really important because that's exhausting.
Yep. And I think, when you truly become comfortable with yourself, you're just happy to reflect that to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of power in that. I mean, you use the terminology superpower.
Yeah.
And it is, because so many people just punch their way through life trying to be an imitation of another person, or trying to be socially acceptable on the way they look or act or do this or do that. Your moral compass is as direct north as anyone's, right? And you are based on values and character. It's flawless. It's amazing, and something that we really look up to.
Thank you.
But I really love the way that you are unashamedly yourself.
Yep. Yes.
It's just a statement, right?
Yeah, I'm accepting
I didn't
it.
even need you to answer it.
Yeah.
We're just proud of that, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think, you get to a point in time, and you made the comment before, like, most people reach it, but you often don't see people reach it until they're later in life, and they lose their inhibitions, and then they decide, okay, well, it is okay if I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I think, when you've done that, you've unleashed the very best of yourself, right?
I think I've seen so many people, like my background's in community pharmacy. So I spent a lot of time, I grew up with my grandparents, and I think I saw a lot of people live unfulfilled lives. Certainly not my grandparents, but certainly when I was in those environments.
Yep.
And I mean, I get the comment every single day that people say they wish I were brave, to have hair like me. And I just say, just do it.
Yeah.
And I guess, the work that I do and working with older generation of people is they are, counting down the last few years or whatever that looks like, and what's really important to them, but also what missed opportunities they had. So I think that's always my I guess, I'm grateful for the learnings that I have had at the age I have and
Yep.
all the learnings ahead.
Yeah. Do you think that some people look at you and I guess admire your bravery to be authentically you, and they probably see a little bit of themselves in there to go, oh, I wish I could be more like her. I wish I could let my creative flair out and be more authentic, but I'm constrained by the restrictions upon what society thinks I should be doing, looking like, acting like.
Yeah, I think we're all under that pressure. But then again, that's exactly leaning into what you said about being like other people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the ability to just look in the mirror and whether, you're blonde, straight hair, curly hair. Like I think the ability to get to acceptance of where you're at
Yep.
in whatever aspect of life and being okay with that everybody's definition of life success, whatever that looks like, is
Yep.
different.
Yep.
And I think that's probably, I would rather people not want to be like me, but be more themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
But bring it on. Get pink hair, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the freedom to be you, right?
Correct.
And I think what I love about how you operate your business is that you operate your business in that fashion, right? It's very free.
Yep.
And the beneficiary of that is your client. And you make an amazing experience for sellers. Like it's nurtured, it's really cared for, there's really accurate, precise
I think
advice.
it's my clients, but also buyer experience, and
Yeah.
and I think it's being all encompassing,
Yep.
and I think that's probably where my deals come together so smoothly, because it is mutually beneficial,
Yep.
and that everybody gets the same experience.
Yep.
And I don't mind if it's the client or if it's somebody I'm doing a rental resume for or
Yep.
whatever that looks like. It's
Yep.
just how I treat everybody.
Yeah. It was interesting the other night. I don't know about where you were, Nath, but I was lying in bed ready to go to sleep. And I got a text through from Amy. You were CC'd in on it, or in a group chat, Sammy as well. So you had a property, you sold it, did an amazing job, got, I think, 16 offers or something along those lines. And that was exciting. But the thing that underlined the impressive nature of you as a human was you said, I've got to break 15 other people's hearts.
Yeah.
And then the feedback from those people that you had to deliver the bad news to
Yeah.
was so grateful for the honesty, the integrity behind it. You didn't duck, you didn't hide, you faced up to, I'm sorry, but unfortunately you weren't successful. I love that about the raw integrity that you have, is that there's never the right time to do the wrong thing, and you go the extra mile with that stuff. I love it.
And it's scary. That I would say, hand on heart, is probably the worst part. My worst part
Yep.
is, and I did used to hide from it. I'll admit, like I am, the queen of avoidance. I used to be, but I knew what that meant to those people. And
Yeah.
I think, for me, it's about, I'm always wanting to do what others won't. So it is stepping in. It's, pulling up your big girl pants and doing those things that are uncomfortable.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's about how I'd like to be treated. And I think because there is such, the bar's so low in our industry. So when people are grateful to get an update that they haven't got an offer,
Yep.
you just think, gosh, well, what is
Wow.
the standard?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. These are people that have invested their time and energy to come to a property.
Yep.
They fall in love with it. It's a real journey, and and I do think it's really important that we connect with everybody, make sure that they have enough information, and then that commitment to try and find 15 other for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about your real estate journey. You started in administration,
Yep.
you worked your way through to BDM. So talk us through that, to how you got to HBC.
Yeah. So, nearly 10 years ago, I was working in a community-led organisation on the Sunshine Coast, and I guess had been actively recruited in real estate for 2 years. Didn't want a bar of it. Growing up, my stepdad was an agent in the true commission only, and it nearly cost him his life. So for me, I'd had a really poor experience as a tenant. And the stories go on. And so coming from my background was actually pharmaceuticals and community pharmacy. So it was so far removed from where my moral compass was. However, I was at a moment in life where I came to a crossroads and was given an opportunity. And it was the financial benefit initially that I guess, sealed the deal. But with that organisation, it was also the community element. And it was the ability to make change in the industry. And that really appealed to me. So being able to, make a change at a local level. So I went in as operations and marketing manager with no real estate experience. So imagine my surprise at 9:05 on Monday morning when my predecessor tells me we're going to do the OFI list, and I ask her what that is. I always just think, what?
Is that kind of some alien life form?
I was like, yeah, cool. But what I loved about that role, so that was all encompassing, right, managing an agency of 40 people. So the marketing element, so I got a really good behind the scenes look at the marketing campaign, my background, and I guess my passion is social media. I would say that's something I have as is customer experience. So the psychology of sales, all of those things are my little nerdy interests. So the ability to provide my skill set and background from corporate pharmaceuticals, I guess, into a franchise model, and then learn about real estate along the way. So it was an ability to be able to, I guess, put that business on the map. And then obviously I got a bit bored. Obviously, a bit of the joy of sales is never 2 days the same, right? So it became quite monotonous. I hate that word. And the opportunity became to be our BDM. And I guess what's great with the BDM role is you're an ambassador or representation of the business. Yep. So it gives you an understanding, or you need to have an understanding of, what the team does and then representing. So, I love events, I love social gathering, and I'm a real chatterbox. So the ability to get paid to go to all of these things was great. Yep. And it went so well that I guess there was a bit of a ceiling in that BDM world. So I was bringing on about 20 to 25 new managements a month, working for the sales agents, giving them rental appraisals. And ultimately got to the stage where I wasn't able to I couldn't be everything in that role, but also the volume at that. So doing 25 photo shoots at the level that I did. So an opportunity came to go into sales, and I have no idea why, but I said, yeah, take the company car back, the credit card, the mobile phone, the wage, the commission, and go to zero. And anyway, 4 years later.
And I think all good things in life sometimes come from a brave decision.
I think I shouldn't say that. So I think it's your own basis of fear, right? What that fear level is. And I'm very guilty of sitting on the couch in the comfort zone. But I'm Danish, and so I have, these Viking predecessors in my family that that really keep me up at night, that I need to do more and be more, and inspire me and to have that bravery. So very much, like I said, the things that other people won't do. But when I moved into sales, I jumped out of a plane, and it was the same kind of week. And I feel like there was such a correlation. I did a workshop about energy, money being energy, and how women suppress their ability to earn. And so this all kind of happened all at once, and certainly shifted the trajectory of my life. But I do really thrive when someone says you can't do that, or I would never do that. Like if someone says I would never, I'm just like, bring it on. So jumping out of the plane was like, that's kind of the limit. So anything is easy now. Yeah.
So you had a few opportunities when you left your previous employer to join many agencies because everyone wanted you. The hottest property on the market at that time. I suppose what made you choose us?
It's such a great question, Nathan. And a lot of people asked why I wouldn't go out on my own. And I'd obviously spent a lot of time and energy building a personal brand. I think... So there's probably three key things. The first was my conversation with you about community, because I was pretty set on what I was going to do and where I was going to go. And then Nathan and I had a conversation, and we just chatted, and you were so relatable and real, and that was so different to all the other conversations I'd had. And I said to you about community, and for me, that's just kind of like such a core pillar. And you shared with me the journey, with your award. And that literally, I let my guard down, and I was like, great, you're a good person. So that was a huge thing. The second was the experience that I had when I came to Cooperoo. The experience that I received in the office and from the team was the same client experience that I give. So to feel what I deliver was just so beautiful. And then the third was your ability to understand that for me to make the decision, it was also a really big thing in my marriage and for my family. So you wanted to meet Daniel, my husband, DB. And so those were probably the three key things. I'm super analytical, so I had a list of questions for everyone. So good. And some people didn't even get back to me, and I was like, well, that's saying a lot. Others had spelling mistakes. Others had just completely different moral compass to me. The one thing that sealed the deal, and this is really funny, was I said, one of the questions was, do you use Price Finder or RP data? And HBC went, both, whatever works for you. And I tell this story all the time because it's not about the product, and I don't care, I could use either, but it's what that represented, that you truly valued somebody coming and understanding what made their life easier. And we always talk about HBC being a plug-in and play business. And for me, that was really important because I was well-established, well-versed within my own business and also the processes. So it was the ability to be able to transfer those. So I loved that, we'd just taken over Caloundra and that I was able to have my processes adopted as well. Yep. So lots of reasons.
Yeah. I think that day you come to Brisbane, I don't know about you, AB, but the energy in that room that day was the highest I've ever felt.
Yeah.
How engaged everyone in our team are always engaged, but their engagement levels were a whole new... Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Well, I probably never told you this, but I walked out and I texted DB and I was like, it's on, this is it. Yeah. And I felt the same. And I think that's a really important thing is to have it, that meeting of moral values, but also I guess where we want to take this industry in the future as well and what's possible. And I think as well for individual agents, the ability to be well supported. So obviously I came from a corporate background in both pharmaceuticals and real estate. So understanding that you need to stay in your own lane and be good at what you're good at. Yeah. So that was a huge thing for me, right? Yeah. I'd gone from running a business and knowing everything to being like, my property's ready to go live. Yeah. And I love it because it allows me to do what I'm good at and get out of the way.
Yeah. You spoke really briefly about DB.
Yeah.
Of a massive man crush. I love him.
He's taken.
Awesome. I know, he's already taken. Look, in saying that, somebody said to me years ago, there's 3 reasons why you can't do something. You don't know what to do, how to do it, or someone or something stopping you from doing it.
Absolutely.
Eliminate the third thing for you because you want to do this and your partner wants you to do it probably even more. And I love that supportive nature about him, and he's the epitome of just putting your ego aside and saying, let me just work beside Amy to help Amy achieve, and when we both achieve, we both get value out of that as a couple,
it's
as
incredible.
a team. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, I think it's something I don't take lightly, and I think that's really important to acknowledge. And I was just saying to someone, just before that, I will always champion my husband and who he is and what he has provided me in the support. Yep. I'm so fortunate because I've got him and my beautiful mum, and they're both Cancerians. They like being in their shell. I know, Nate. I know.
How big is that?
No spotlight. No spotlight. But it was amazing when DB and I met or reconnected. He was the first man that was willing, I guess, to... Not willing, I shouldn't say that. He was so embracing of my career aspirations and found it really, and because I never shied away from that. Yeah. So I was so happy to be by myself, and I loved my single years. But it took a long time, and I think it is really hard, especially for a career-driven woman, and when you start to have that balance change with wages and things like that. But I guess what we do is communicate how we both feel really often, and that's kind of a non-negotiable for him, is just to have eye-to-eye contact, to connect in every day. But to be seen and heard is really important for him. So I make I don't hide the fact that I am who I am because, like I drove down here this morning, had a coffee in the fridge for me, had a water with electrolytes, text to say, he hopes everything goes well. Like he is just a beautiful soul. So I think it's really important, and I don't think it necessarily has to be your partner that's your person.
Sure.
But I think had I not had 40 years of my mum genuinely believing I can do anything, and being that wind beneath the wings, like she says that, and I say, no, B, you're out in front. You know, you paved the way for women, and especially within my family. But yeah, support is really important. I didn't realise how grateful I was until I've now met other people that didn't have that support from parents, loved ones, anything.
So I've had the pleasure of meeting your mum a couple of times. Beautiful human being. She is very proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. She's amazing. Yeah. And she tells me, and that's all you can hope for, right? I mean, my mission in life is to honour what she sacrificed for me to have education, a roof over my head. She stood up in moments for us, that I'll be forever grateful. And so now my life's work is to prove, I guess thank her, but yeah, to make sure that she's proud and enjoy every moment that we have ahead.
Yep. Well, she is.
Yeah.
And the best gift that you can give your mum is that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think, and time together, right? That's the most precious gift we have.
Yep. It's beautiful to sit back and watch it.
100%. So you do a lot of community work, and you're really passionate about empowering women and just giving back and that, and you use that with your social media. You've got a very powerful social media presence in that. What would you say is the one thing you are most passionate about and cause and why?
Oh, I can't pick one.
Okay.
I'd lose my
Okay.
Okay. So we have 5 beneficiaries in our will and estate that are really important to Daniel and I. So from a few core pillars, puppy dogs. So we have our little fur babies, Freddie and Eddie. So Four Paws Animal Rescue on the Sunshine Coast. So they're basically everything that John West rejects. So 3 legs, no eyes, everything. Beautiful dogs and cats. Very much mental health, huge thing. So Beyond Blue. So my background in pharmacy, but I've been very close to loved ones with depression, mental illness. We've lost way too many friends to suicide. So both Daniel and I advocate in that space. Probably my personal biggest area of interest is women's education. And I believe self-care and possibility in education for young women. So I do a lot of work with a group called STEM on the Sunshine Coast, so supporting teenage mums with empowerment, education, mother and mentoring, gave them an extra E. That's girls as young as 12 that have had babies and they're continuing education. So they have a creche at the school and they're continuing their education. They're learning mothering skills, barista skills, because for me, I think the most important thing is breaking the cycle. So I was so fortunate to have education, and continual learning is like, I'm such a nerd, and Daniel made fun of me the other night because whenever we're out late, I love it because I get to listen to the ABC quiz. Like, you probably don't even know what that is. He told me no one knows, but at midnight every night, there is 25 general knowledge quiz all around Australia. Anyway, it's my time. I love it. That's my embarrassing secret. But I love learning. I love education. I love being inspired. I love knowing and understanding more about different cultures and how we get to where we are. And at the core, we're all the same person. So I think allowing younger people to know the power. Like, of course, I was called a nerd. Like, I always wore glasses, and that's another superpower. I love my intelligence, and I think that's probably something that is the number one above all other community groups. That's what I really devote the most time for.
Yeah, I think you're blessed with both sides of the coin. I think one side of the coin, IQ, very clever.
Thank you.
But the other side of the coin is EQ, right? And in life, often you find you either have one or the other. You have both sides in spades. And I think that's why your clients, buyers, sellers, and just general people in your life get a real value from you because you just switched on both sides of that, right? So whether it's an intellectual conversation about a particular topic, you're well rehearsed on things, you understand a lot about a lot.
Yeah.
But that deep-seated emotional connection that you have with the human being at the core of it is a real blessing. You know, if someone was to say to me, what do you think Amy's superpower is, I would say it would be that.
Yeah.
Because like good old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right?
Yeah.
And there's too many people in our profession that are really proficient scripts, dialogues, and turn into robots that just see this as it's a process, just follow the process.
I think you think, I think you, like I have spent a number of my years feeling like I had to use intelligence, you know, and I think that's I've always been in male-dominated industries. You know, my background was in corporate pharmaceuticals, and I always tell this story, like my first experience as a 14-year-old, you know, I worked in community pharmacy, and I was allowed to enter the dispensary when the pharmacist rang a bell to say, and he would do this like gesturing for his coffee, and to vacuum the dispensary. So I guess from my perspective, and yes, I love it. I love that story. But, you know, I always felt I had to prove myself and use intelligence. And I think that's something that comes with time. So I was very much, I wouldn't pick up the phone as a BDM until I knew every scripts and dialogues, because you don't want to get caught out, right? And this was always my fear, saying the wrong thing. And the acceptance and ability to go, that's a great question, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
You know, and so that really shifted. So I very much, you know, I lent on my intelligence as long as I could.
Yeah.
But then, you know, like I said, I realised it's actually much better, that EQ, connecting with people, not always being right. Like I'm very much a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah. This is a relationships business, right?
Oh, it's all it is.
And
literally.
You know, a massive chunk of your business comes from referral work, repeat work, recommendations. You know, and that's why the quality of the work you get is very good, right? Like a lot of your stuff is uncontested, and if it is, they're only price checking. Take the real estate terminology stuff aside, but people trust you because others trust you so much. And when people have good experience after good experience after good experience, then that puts you in a lot of real credibility. And I think that's one of the most impressive things about you is, like, even when we had your client night, you know, your clients weren't just clients. You had a room full of absolute raving fans.
Just how they spoke. There's so many great moments with you, like I said, the first phone call, how passionate you were about the community connection there. When DB spoke at the launch night and your clients, it was emotional, it was raw, it was real. Like everything around you is authentic.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way. You just articulate things well, you care, and you're so real and passionate. It's amazing.
Thanks, Nathan. I think the referral piece is probably again one of those strategic things within my business. And people always say, "Oh, you do a lot in socials." And it's very curated. And it might not appear that, but it is, you know, very much. It's a strategy that I took sort of 25 years ago, you know, with Facebook or even LinkedIn and everything. But it's not, I'm not targeting buyers and sellers. My audience are referral partners. And it's that being relatable, but also showcasing the behind the scenes, so that when somebody, you know, is looking, and probably the biggest growth I had was during COVID, because I did a resume service. I do and I still do it to this day, pet profiles. And essentially I just became that person that anyone could go to and they'd get a response, or whatever it was. And spoke to a great prospective buyer yesterday, an investor, and the property he was inquiring on had sold. And I said, look, what's your intention, you know, with the hold of the property? I said, I'm going to send you 3 agents that specialise in that stock. You know, I said, you know, our property management team will handle it no matter what. You know, what's your long-term plans to hold with the property? Do you want some information? You know, and he just sort of said, oh, no one has even got back to me. So I think it's being of service, and I think that probably is how I was. You know, my email signature is always at your service. Yep. And I think if you come from that mindset, and without expectation, I said to you, you know, I just sold a property last night, and those clients I met as prospective buyers 3.5 years ago Our paths haven't crossed since then. And they just reached out to me last week. So you want to have, and I would never have pursued them with regards to, and right or wrong. But ultimately, from my perspective, I left them with a good enough experience that long, down the track, they reached out.
Yep.
Now, you've had a cracking start to the year.
Oh,
amazing quarter, and you had a big milestone.
Yeah.
100 deals in real
estate. I know, under 4 years. Thank you. I'm stoked.
Absolutely.
On the precipice of a PB as well, which is awesome.
So what do you put the great start to the year? Because you're doing great numbers. It's phenomenal.
Not having a break over Christmas. Yep. So I strategically take 2 breaks a year that when everyone else doesn't. So because you feel the dialogue starts, the November you have the first Christmas party, you're starting to wind down. And, there's something in that mindset when you say, no, I'm just getting started. So I work in a market where everybody is visiting. It's also when everybody has time to come to open homes. It's when they have the time to be online. So I made that decision a long time ago. Very much as well, I think it's also utilizing all different prospecting tools. Like I went really hard when I joined the business to make sure that every touch point was covered. So that's print, away owners, letterbox drops. Like I'm consistent and methodical with all of those processes, social media, and just making sure all of those things. And I think also being available. So letting the market know that I was going to be transacting over Christmas and that was the best time. So really positive dialogue. And I think also as well, probably my speed to market. I think that's probably something that allows the volume that I write. So I'm normally in and out within 10 days is kind of ideal scenario. And I've run with that process for the 4 years that I've been an agent through every market. And sure, there's been a lot of times it's just been me and the wind for months at a property. But at the moment it's working.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So yesterday we had International Women's Day. And I experienced something I thought I'd never actually sit in. If you told me that I was going to sit in something talking about scents, I would have turned AV and said, mate, this is for you, not for me.
Yeah.
Because he's a sensitive one. But very informative. Now, you organised the day with your connection with Kim Morrison, who was absolutely amazing. And it was probably one of the biggest eye-openers for me, just about what I learned individually, but then also, like I said, sitting there talking about scent and the power and the example that she had was phenomenal. The 100,000, you want to talk us through?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kim is the founder of 28. She's an amazing aromatherapist, and she spoke about scents and I guess what it invokes. And she asked us to remember a scent, good and bad. So might have been a first boyfriend or girlfriend, and then also something that took you back. And it was really special, wasn't it? Because it invokes such a memory, and whether that's a loved one and sure we've all got one, but she spoke about how you can actually use scent in psychology, and I'm all for this, and I do it at my open home. So she spoke about a realestate.com article that was recently, so they basically took a amount of people through an open home and they used different scents and then gauged the price feedback on the property. So I think at the top of the scale was citrus as a scent versus smelly socks, and it was $50,000 or $100,000 difference.
And that was 10%.
Yeah.
More than 10. 110%.
Yeah.
And I see it every day, the house that I've just sold over the weekend, exceptionally presented, and they did what they would say is a slap together landscape job with the neighbour helped. And I said to them, like, hand on heart, it was a $50,000 improvement. We had pretty crappy weather over the weekend, and I, always curate a soundtrack. So I'll always make sure, that I have a soundtrack that suits. So for that, it was Coastal Chill, and then a scent. So I'll generally do something that's a bit coconutty and lime on the coast. But for my older villa clients, we'll use something that invokes a different scent. So I very much believe in that. And I mean, that goes back to the baking the bread and the brownies and all of those sorts of things. So I think that's a really important moment, but also to acknowledge all the scents as well, what we hear and sensitivities for things like that. And so making sure when somebody's experiencing an open home that it's exceptional. I mean, I still go to open homes now where the toilet seat's up and the lights aren't even on. I mean, the mind boggles. Am I going to pay a premium for that? Absolutely not. I'm going to say the agent has lack of attention. They're lazy. Here we go, bargain town.
And it's interesting is that your attention to detail of all of those little things is what benefits sellers, right?
Yeah.
Because there's still 2/3 of the real estate population don't pick up on it, right?
Well, it's even having the measurements of the fridge.
Yeah.
And I
Like,
saw
it's
in the
just
video the
Yeah.
other day,
all of your
Yeah.
the detail.
like, it's so impressive.
But why make it, like I'd say I'm a culmination of what I've learned in 10 years. So I certainly, nothing that I've done is of my own imagination. It's just picking up. And I mean, I said that same with my podcast. If someone asks me a question twice, that's a question that you video and you share. And I was kind of on a bit of a repetitive cycle with this huge volume of buyers the other day, and someone said you should just record that messaging, explaining the process of submitting an offer and everything. And there's merit to it, right? But what I always, and that's what they said to me, I had the open home on Sunday and so many people were so thankful. And I can't fathom there's 2,500 agents on the Sunshine Coast and there's a handful of us, like it's just generally me picking up pointer signs on a Sunday. And so that for me is such an opportunity, right?
Yep.
That immediately for everyone that came through that open on a Sunday is like, she goes the extra mile. Do I charge more for a Sunday open?
Yeah. What's the strategy behind that? You don't do Saturday open homes, you do Sunday.
I do 4 in the first week. So I do a Wednesday or a Thursday night sunset sneak peek. So every property gets a premiere.
Yep.
That is live musician, cheese, it's the full box and dice. Finance, you've been to them, Nate. You had oysters.
Oysters, huh?
Yeah.
She fed me. When
Waterfront,
Kelly was
we
out
had
of town.
oysters.
You way to Nathan's heart.
Yeah, you sent him home with a box of them. What that does, obviously, it allows people to see the property transform from day to night, but it also gives them that exclusivity and I guess sneak peek before the weekend.
Yep.
I'll always do a Saturday morning. Like you have to be, you have to be on ground when everybody else is.
Yep.
However, the stress levels with people, the racing around, the kids with the muddy soccer boots.
Yep.
So I do that as a token effort.
Yep.
And then Saturday afternoon always, so a post lunch open home. And so we'll always see larger numbers at that because they've tried to get to the morning, they couldn't make it.
Okay.
And then Sunday is I guess the validation of what they like about the property. So they've got their physical brochure on Saturday night, it's got everything they need. They get a really comprehensive prospectus. And then the Sunday is normally the fridge measurement if they didn't take it, or what does it look like in a different light, or we'll bring different kids, mum. Like I had one family that came through a property Saturday, Sunday, and then we did a private viewing Monday.
Yeah.
So 3 different lots of, the family.
Yeah.
But that's why you wrap most of your sales up in 10
Yeah, I was
days,
just thinking
right?
that, yeah.
All offers by 5
That's
o'clock.
Huge.
Yeah. So all offers by 5 o'clock Monday and generally contract written Monday night.
Yeah.
The buyers love it because it's so transparent, it's honest. They know they're going to know either way.
Yeah.
It's not. And look, I love auction, AB. I love auctions. This is just, I guess, it kind of suits it's kind of sped up.
That's great. I love it.
but
If
also-
it works for you, it works for me, right?
It works for my clients,
Yeah.
and that's first and foremost because they love it because their home is staged and styled, and then they essentially within 10 days we're packed up and that's out. So I leave the staging in situ, which means so from Thursday I am fortunate I leave my pointer signs out for 4 days, so nothing like a bit of free advertising.
Yeah, good.
And then also all the marketing. So I have obviously a pretty good, big marketing collateral exposure at the property, and that stays.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier.
Yeah.
And then essentially the clients, I say to them, look, I'll generally say, are you going away, or is there somewhere you can stay? Can you and the pooch, go visit and stay with someone? And then generally we'll kind of wrap it up and do that.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of look in the diary ahead of when they're away.
Yeah. I sit here and listen to you speak, and I'm so intrigued with your real estate career and how you go about doing it. But I also think it's more value for people to get to know you and who you are as a human.
Yeah.
Because I think because of how special you are as a person, your real estate career is a reflection of you as a human, right?
It's
Which
just
I
care.
love,
I think
right?
it's care factor, right? It's in everything you do. And like I said, I'm very much a recovering perfectionist. And I think the most important thing I always say to people is I'm in my prime. It's just DB and I and the pugs. I have the ability to give my heart and soul.
Yep.
But I take breaks.
Yep.
And there's no heroes in exhaustion. I'm very open and honest that I love my sleep. Like me at an event at 6 o'clock this morning was not fun. So I think that's really important. But I think, like you say, AB, when you actually love what you do, you know, I am obsessed with what I do, but not at the detriment of my health, happiness, marriage, family.
A good version of you is going to provide a better value, right? And you understand that. I love that you understand that because, hey, the experience that people will get from you will be a direct reflection of the experience you give yourself, right?
True, yeah.
And when you give that to yourself, you walk out as a power load, right? Like every discussion I have with you, every interaction I have with you is really powerful.
Thank you.
Like you're in the moment, you are razor focused.
Yeah.
But just you, right? And
It's
so
memorable.
refreshing.
I always say it's
I love it.
memorable.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I do.
Thank you.
I just love it, honey.
Appreciate it.
You are
so nice to be valued and seen for who I am. And I think that's what your company, you know, again, when we sort of look at everything that encapsulates, you know, that excitement that we had that day, to feel home, to feel seen, to see that there's, you know, life outside. But also that you valued me as a person above the profit that I'll bring the business.
100%.
Wow.
Yep. What you do in life echoes in eternity, sweetheart, and it'll just be ramping on forever, darling.
Favourite that one is. Thank you for
So
the
I've
opportunity.
got one question before you
Oh,
All right.
go. You've done a lot of stuff in the community.
Yeah.
What's the most goat-worthy advice you've received or heard?
Goat-worthy advice.
I love that. In life or
Just with your community, you've seen
Yeah.
great speakers, you've seen people out there that
Yeah.
do some amazing things.
Yeah.
It could be someone that's not well known. And that,
Yeah,
but
I
they've
think-
just given you that one piece of goat-worthy advice.
I just had like shivers the whole way. I think there's that in every day. I mean, I take that. I saw Victoria Devine speak this morning from the host of She's on the Money. Phenomenal. There's lessons in life. But if I tell you about a moment, and there's so many, but the one that that's very, I guess, pertinent to where I'm at now is a beautiful friend of mine, Melissa Evans, and she was a firecracker, fierce boss bitch. Honestly, like, she went into hospitality businesses to fix them. I met her. I was terrified of her.
Mercedes-Benz.
Well, no. She was terrifying. So she used to run the Sea Bull in Caloundra. Anyway, long story short, I was terrified of her. She moved back to the coast and she said, I want you to manage my properties. And I was like, no, she's so scary. Anyway, long story short, she asked if we could catch up, and I hadn't seen her in person for ages. And we caught up and she was wearing a turban and she hadn't told anyone that she had cancer. And she said to me, I want you to sell my house. She was the first person that believed in me. And she said, we've got a tenant moving in. You've got 4 days. And the list went on. Like, there was everything with the property. Anyway, it's a funny story. But she believed in me. And I was terrified because I was like, fuck, she's gonna be hell as a client. Anyway, got the deal done. I went on to sell 3 properties for her. I found her dream home. She wanted to have one last birthday and one Christmas with a pool. We found her a dream home. The day before she passed away at 47, Daniel and I were with her, and she looked me in the eye. She said, don't do what I've done. Don't be a slave to work. She looked at Daniel. She looked at me. She said, travel. And we've gone overseas twice a year, every year since, unapologetically. And anytime I waver, I'm worried, I lose my path or momentum, like, she is there. Like, she's probably like, tell them my story. And that changed my life. Yeah. So I've had every quote amazing moment, but for somebody in their last dying moment to look at me and say, don't do this, was so profound. And so help me if I didn't. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we started today's episode with 3 goats. Now we've got 2 property guys and 1 amazing goat.
Oh, I don't even know what noise goats make. Bleat? Is it a bleat or something?
Do they go bah like a sheep?
I think so.
They'll edit some noise over the top.
Do something.
Too funny. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
sweetheart.
Thank you very much,
honey.
Amy.
Appreciate
So
it.
good.
Great having you.
Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of One Goat and the Property Guys. Remember, make sure you vote for if they were a goat or a spud during the last episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to YouTube and at Apple Podcasts so that we can keep creating great goat-worthy memories.